It was an ordinary Wednesday afternoon in the quiet coastal town of Gulf Breeze, Florida. The streets were calm, the skies blue, and life moved with the sleepy pace of late summer. On this suburban block, nothing seemed out of place, until 911 dispatchers received a frantic series of calls from the same address.
Hi, you guys have been out to my house twice today, and then most recently the deputy talked my wife into letting me in the house, and then she locked me in the garage and tried to break my arm when I was trying to get back inside. And then when I tried to...
What was that?
She just shot me!
Got the security with somebody to keep driving. She just shot him.
3 calls, 1 house, and in the final call, the chilling sound of gunshots. Before we dive in, we want to extend our deepest sympathies to the families affected, especially the children left behind in this tragic story. Welcome to True Crime Diaries, where we peel back the curtain on real-life horrors hidden behind closed doors. If you care about justice and untold truths, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Today's case is one that shook an entire Florida community, a fatal family breakdown where the warning signs were there, yet somehow no one stopped the clock in time. When police raced to the scene, they found 34-year-old Collin James Turner lying lifeless on the floor of his garage. He'd been shot multiple times. The call that captured the shots was no mistake. It was a murder in real time.
Alright, hold on, this is Deputy Loha. Come here, sweetheart. It's okay.
Are you in shock?
Yes. Well, do me a favor. Can you, they're working on him right now.
Okay.
I need you to go with this deputy, have a secret car. She's going to hang out with you.
And my other 2 kids are 4 and 3. And they're in that house too.
Search her already?
Collin's wife. She was the only adult in the house, and she confessed, right there on a neighbor's porch, "I shot him." But why? What had pushed this Navy officer, mother of 3, to kill the father of her children? What seemed like a storybook life was about to unravel into a dark and devastating tale of mental health battles, relationship breakdown, and a justice system that came too late. Gulf Breeze is known for its beaches, strong schools, and peaceful streets. A classic Florida postcard town. But no neighborhood, no matter how beautiful, can shield a family from turmoil growing within. Bree and Collin were in their early 30s, both military veterans, both trying to raise a blended family of 3 young children. 2 they had together, and 1 daughter from Bree's previous relationship. From the outside, they seemed like any other couple navigating work, parenting, and the weight of life. But inside their home, it was a pressure cooker. Born in May 1987, Bree graduated from East Mississippi Community College in 2012 and joined the U.S. Navy. She was disciplined, driven, and rose to the position of leading petty officer at the Naval Air Station in Pensacola. She was respected by her peers, but also known to be under immense emotional strain. Behind the uniform, Bree battled mental health challenges. She had previously been placed on limited duty following a suicide attempt and was treated under the Baker Act, a Florida law that allows for involuntary mental health evaluation. She was on medication. She was attending therapy. But in the weeks leading up to the shooting, she began missing appointments. Her work attendance became inconsistent. Her behavior, her superiors later said, had become increasingly erratic. Collin Turner was a proud U.S. Marine who had served 14 years, rising to the rank of gunnery sergeant. He was medically discharged due to a traumatic brain injury, a consequence of his time in service. After returning home, he took on the role of a stay-at-home dad, caring for the kids while Bree remained active in the Navy. But Collin didn't let his medical condition define him. He pursued higher education online, working toward a degree in electrical engineering, and had recently been accepted into a master's program at Johns Hopkins University, a plan he was set to begin in January 2022. That day would never come. Collin and Bree had built a life together, at least on paper. They shared a home, raised their children, and tried to make things work. But the cracks were showing. Neighbors occasionally heard shouting. Friends noted emotional distance. There were disagreements about parenting, finances, control. Arguments had become frequent. Bree believed Collin was trying to take the kids away. Collin, in turn, felt like Bree was spiraling and told friends he needed space for everyone's safety. On September 8th, 2021, that spiral reached its deadly conclusion. The police were first called to the house that afternoon. It wasn't the shooting that brought them, not yet. It was an argument, like many before it. Bree claimed Collin had assaulted her. The officers found no evidence, and Bree declined to give a full statement. Collin, on the other hand, told them she was unstable, that he planned to take the kids to Georgia to cool off. He even called Bree's superiors, expressing concern. But the police left. No arrests, no intervention. Just 2 adults with different stories, and 3 children trapped in the middle. Hours later, the second call would come in. Then the third, the one that captured the final moments of Collin Turner's life. By the time the third call came into 911 dispatch, it was already too late. But the warning signs had been building for hours. It started at 12:53 p.m. The first call.
It's not healthy for the kids to be around it. She's made repeated comments to the kids, the 3 and 4-year-old, since, well, today. Well, the police are coming to save us because Daddy hurt Mommy. First of all, I didn't. Second of all, you don't tell a child that.
Sure. Was at any point in time, did it get physical?
I told you I tried to grab my daughter last night, and she got physical and stopped me. So I backed off at that point. That kind of allegation is the last thing I need.
Bree Kuhn told police her husband had assaulted her. She wanted him removed from the house. But when officers arrived, there were no visible injuries, no physical proof, and Bree refused to make a formal statement. Instead, she insisted the children were her priority.
Cut me off from all the credit cards she has control over. She's the primary breadwinner.
As the officers listened, Bree repeated her claims, that Collin had attacked her, that she was scared for her children. But she offered no documentation, no witnesses, no injuries. They told her plainly, without a statement they couldn't act. Her word alone wasn't enough. She declined. Now it was Collin's turn. He gave a very different version. According to Collin, it was Bree who was losing control. He said he planned to take the children to his parents' home in Georgia, not to run away, but to give everyone time to cool off, to de-escalate. He signed a statement. It went into the system, but still, no action from authorities.
Yes, sir, indeed. What can I do for you? I'm Deputy Glenn with Nurse County Sheriff's Office.
Hey, my wife won't let me in my house.
Okay, is this wife?
Domestic dispute? Yep.
Okay, can I talk to you over here?
Can I have my daughter, please?
Hey, can I just have you wait right there for just one moment, okay?
Sorry?
Not right now. Hold on. Just one second. We'll get this figured out, okay? All right, so what's going on today, sir?
So she's got mental health stuff going on. I was trying to leave for Georgia, get a break from her for me and the kids earlier today, and then she called you guys. And when I was talking to you guys, she took my photo ID, all my access to money and everything. Closest alligator to the boat.
Okay.
But she was mad that I turned off the Wi-Fi last night, so she washed my laptop in the dishwasher.
Okay.
And that's kind of like the last straw.
You guys,
so
are you guys still married?
I mean, for now, yeah.
It's still legal and it's common property?
Yep.
What's yours is hers and hers is yours, unfortunately.
Yeah, so she's not allowed to stop me from entering my house?
If it's your house and you still live here, by all means, you got to enter your home however you got to enter your home. Make sense?
Yeah, so she's allowed to change the locks and I'm allowed to break a window, is that what you're saying?
I'm not telling you to break a window. If you want to tear it, I mean, it's your property. Okay. All right, just give me 1 second, okay? Yep. Let me talk to her and see what's going on.
He had been in contact. Well, he had been in contact with my command.
Okay.
So he said that there's allegations of emotional abuse.
Okay.
So obviously I don't want him in there.
Okay.
You know, him and I arguing in front of the kids, so I left him out.
I don't know if you overheard what I told him. It's his house too, right? And he lives here too?
Just
So
before.
we can't lock each other out of the house. I mean, if we do, he's got every right to enter the house. However, he's got to enter the house.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right. And same thing. If we change the locks, he's got every right to get into the house. However, he's got to get in the house. Okay.
Okay.
He lives here. He's got property here. For the betterment of your daughter. Whatever you guys got going on, you got to put aside for the kids. You see what
Well,
I'm
I
saying?
agree, but he told me not to talk to him. So
Okay.
I'm not going to let him in the house if he's going to come in and start arguing.
But at the same time, that's leaving the child. I mean, that's kind of leaving the child out here to fend for herself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. So I don't want him to do that.
Okay. But, I mean, I can't stop him from going inside the house.
Oh, that's fine. I just wanted him to give her to me so that she's not out here.
Okay.
They said earlier that since I didn't have any bruises, and there was nobody to witness him getting physical with me, that they shouldn't do it.
Tonight, we've got to figure out something where you guys can, maybe one of y'all can get a hotel, maybe one of y'all can agree to sleep in another room or something like that or whatever, but what we got to do is we get something figured out that way we're not out here 10 more times tonight, you see what I'm saying?
Sure.
Okay. So, he's going to bring the kid inside the house, okay? And this is his house too. We're not going to prevent him from coming inside his house, okay?
Yeah, so you were.
Okay, alright, so this is his house. He's going to bring the kid inside the house, and we're going to get things worked out, right? So we're not coming back out here 2 more times. Because if we do come out here and somebody tells me somebody's been physical and I can find some evidence of such, might be red marks, bruises, scrapes, scratches, or an evidence of a witness or anything like that, it's kind of somebody's going to wind up going to jail. Might be you, might be him, I don't know. I can't predict the future, okay? But what I'm telling you is if we continue to go down this route, we're going to have to start resorting to other things, okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that, okay? I mean, I want everybody to get along.
The couple continued to argue while officers were present. Bree began packing Collin's bags, apparently trying to push him out of the house. The air was thick with tension, but again, without formal accusations or injuries, the police had no grounds to separate them. They left, and that decision would prove to be fatal. Just a few hours later, sometime around 5 p.m., dispatch received the second call. This time, Collin was the one on the line. He told them the same thing, that they were arguing again, that the situation was escalating, that Bree was now locking him out of rooms, playing with access to their shared space. The control was shifting, fast. Collin was trying to stay calm, but Bree, according to him, was emotionally unraveling. After the first call, Collin had reached out to Bree's Navy superiors. He told them about the instability at home, about the tension, about the danger. To their credit, her commanders acted swiftly. They contacted Collin and asked, "Do you feel safe?" He said he did. Then they called Bree. Her story changed slightly. She accused Collin of using her daughter to manipulate her and said he was physically aggressive. She claimed he was trying to sabotage her Navy career by reporting her. But again, no evidence, just words. And after assessing both sides, the Navy categorized the situation as emotional abuse. Still, no one stepped in. No one separated the two adults in that house. No one removed the kids. No one knew what was about to happen next. At 6:22 p.m., the final call came in. It was Collin again, and this time, he wasn't just asking for help. He was pleading. While he was on the phone with dispatch, trying to explain what was happening, gunshots rang out. 4 distinct pops. Then silence. The dispatcher, stunned, stayed on the line. It was one of those moments where the system does more than just record words. It captures the exact moment a man loses his life. And this time, the sound wasn't just background noise, it was murder. When the officers arrived, they found the garage door locked. They had to crawl underneath it to enter. Inside, they found Collin Turner, face down, shot multiple times, surrounded by blood. Dead. In the kitchen, the murder weapon, a handgun, was hidden. Just steps away from the scene. The act of violence had taken place inside the home, in the center of a domestic space where children once played, ate, and laughed. Initially, Bree seemed dazed, as if she hadn't fully processed what had just occurred. Officers noted she wavered between acknowledging Collin was dead and hoping he wasn't. Her mood shifted rapidly. Grief, regret, confusion. But reality was closing in. As officers searched her, Bree slowly began to fall apart. Her expression changed. Her voice cracked. The truth was sinking in. She had killed her husband, and she didn't have a clear reason why. From the moment the officers arrived, one question hung in the air. Was this self-defense, or was it murder? Why had Bree walked into that garage with a loaded gun? What exactly had happened in those final seconds before the shooting? She said Collin was abusing her. She said she felt threatened, but Collin had been on the phone with 911 at the moment he was shot. His only weapon was his cell phone. And according to the autopsy report, the fatal bullet struck him in the back. With the victim dead and the shooter confessing on the scene, the who wasn't in question, but the why. That's where everything unraveled. What really happened inside that house in the final moments before the trigger was pulled? Was Bree a victim acting in self-defense, or was this a premeditated act of domestic rage? Investigators needed answers, and Bree Kuhn was taken in for questioning. Sitting in the small, sterile room, Bree walked officers through her version of events. But when the detectives pressed her about the final minutes, about the gun, her story got foggy. They asked, "When you went to the garage, did you already have the gun in your hand?" She couldn't answer. "Where did you get the weapon from? What was Collin doing when you walked in?" Again, no clear response. She never claimed that Collin was holding a weapon, never said he lunged at her, never said he threatened her in that final moment. The only thing Collin was doing was talking to a 911 operator. The murder weapon had been stashed in the kitchen, not locked up, not in a drawer, just hidden. Bree had retrieved it sometime between the last police visit and the shooting. That raised red flags. The crime scene suggested premeditation, not panic. And when they checked the trajectory of the bullet, the autopsy confirmed it. Collin had been shot in the back, from behind, while locked in the garage. After the police left Bree in the interview room, she made a call. Not to a lawyer, not to a therapist, to her father. She broke down in tears and told him, "I shot Collin." If you've made it this far, you're clearly someone who values the truth behind the headlines. Don't forget to subscribe to True Crime Diaries for more in-depth stories like this one. Hit that like button if you think justice was served, or leave a comment if you believe there's more to the story. And if you or someone you know is facing a dangerous situation at home, don't wait. Reach out. Help is available. When he asked why, she didn't blame abuse. She didn't say she feared for her life. She said, "I don't know." Those 3 words shook investigators. They weren't the statement of a battered woman acting in fear. They were the words of someone who had crossed a line and was only beginning to realize the gravity of it. Bree's brother, Eric, later said he had spoken with her on the phone around the time of the shooting. According to him, she sounded unwell, scattered. He claimed he nearly heard the shooting itself over the line. But there was a problem. In earlier interviews with police, Eric never mentioned the gun. This inconsistency would later haunt the defense. Investigators combed through Bree and Collin's phones, texts, voicemails, even videos. One key piece of evidence? A cell phone video Bree recorded right before the first 911 call. It captured an argument, tension. Collin trying to reason with her while Bree filmed his reactions, maybe as evidence, or maybe as a form of control. It painted a picture of a relationship on the brink, and then came the messages that truly tipped the scale. At 12:55 p.m., just minutes before the first 911 call, Collin sent a text to Bree's ex, the father of her eldest daughter. He wrote, "Hey man, Bree is losing it. She ran my laptop through the dishwasher last night because I turned the Wi-Fi off. I'm planning to get out of here with the kids, but she already told me she'll press charges if I take Kylie with me." Her ex replied with concern, but Collin wasn't done. Just 13 minutes before the shooting, he texted again. "I'm going to be worse before it gets better too. She's always told horror stories about you and I believed them. But now I think she's crazy as hell. Probably did the same stuff to you." Then, silence. That was the last message Collin Turner ever sent. Bree didn't just confess to police. She also called her ex, the same man Collin had messaged, and told him he needed to come pick up their daughter. He asked why. She answered, "I just shot Collin." He asked again, "Why?" And Bree replied, I don't know." By this point, any self-defense claim was crumbling. Bree wasn't acting like a woman who'd fought for her life. She was unraveling, shifting between guilt, confusion, and despair. She had taken her children out of the house after the shooting, almost like she knew they shouldn't witness what was left behind. The decision to pull the trigger may not have been spontaneous. Investigators developed a theory. Bree had grown convinced that Collin was trying to destroy her, emotionally, professionally, and as a mother. She felt her control slipping, so she reacted with finality. She had destroyed his laptop. She'd blocked his finances. She'd locked him in the garage. And finally, she shot him in the back, not in a struggle, not in a fight, but in a moment of anger, fear, or vengeance. No one can say for sure. It's a question investigators still ask themselves. Could this tragedy have been prevented? The police had been there twice. The Navy was involved. Warnings were given. Statements were filed. But no one stepped in. And now one man was dead. 3 children were left without parents. And a family was broken forever. It would take nearly 3 years for Bree Kuhn to stand trial for the murder of her husband, Collin Turner. The case had been delayed. Evidence was still being reviewed. Emotions were still raw. But in September 2024, the courtroom doors finally opened. And what unfolded was a haunting look at a marriage gone fatally wrong. Prosecutors laid out a timeline that painted Bree as calculated, unstable, and ultimately lethal. They walked the jury through the 3 911 calls, showing how each one revealed a gradual escalation. They played body cam footage of the officers' earlier visits that day, where neither spouse was taken into custody despite the growing volatility. They introduced the autopsy report, showing Collin was shot in the back while unarmed, speaking on the phone. They replayed the 911 audio, allowing the jury to hear, in real time, the moment Collin was killed. Then came the digital evidence, texts, videos, and calls. Messages from Collin to Bree's ex, screenshots of her locking him out, proof that she'd destroyed his laptop, that she'd restricted his access to money, that she had filed multiple complaints against him, none of which were substantiated. And then, there was the video Bree filmed herself before the first 911 call. The prosecution used it to show her mental state, her obsessive need to document, her desire to control the narrative. To the jury, it was chilling. Bree's attorneys took a different route. They argued that Bree had been living in fear, that Collin, while seen as a hero on the outside, could be aggressive and emotionally manipulative behind closed doors. They highlighted his traumatic brain injury sustained during military service and how it allegedly altered his behavior. They claimed he had threatened to take the children and that Bree feared losing everything, her career, her family, her future. Their goal wasn't to deny the shooting. Bree had already admitted to it. Instead, they leaned on the claim of self-defense, that Bree had snapped under years of stress and emotional erosion. They also revealed that Bree had PTSD, a result of both her own military service and years of alleged verbal abuse. But when it came time for Bree to testify, she didn't. Originally, Bree had agreed to speak, to tell her story in her own words. The defense even arranged for a mental health expert to testify on her behalf, explaining how PTSD could affect decision-making in the moment of trauma. But after more than an hour of deliberation with her attorneys, Bree backed out. She would not take the stand. And without her testimony, the only defense witness presented was her brother, Eric. Eric claimed to have been on the phone with Bree around the time of the shooting. He said he could sense something was wrong, that he heard raised voices, that he almost heard the gunfire. But the prosecution pounced. In earlier interviews, Eric had never mentioned the gun, never said anything about violence. That inconsistency was enough to discredit him. And now, the defense had nothing left. After hearing all the evidence, the jury was sent to deliberate. 4 hours later, they returned. Verdict: guilty. Bree Kuhn was convicted of first-degree murder, an intentional, premeditated act. The judge handed down the mandatory sentence: life in prison without the possibility of parole. There were no tears in the courtroom, just silence. The sentence was final, but the consequences went far beyond a prison cell. Bree's oldest daughter from a previous relationship was placed in the care of her biological father, the same man Collin had texted just before his death. The two younger children, shared by Bree and Collin, were left without either parent. Their father was gone, their mother behind bars. 3 children, 3 lives, forever changed by one irreversible decision. That's the question many are still asking. The police were at the house earlier that day, not once but twice. They saw the tension, they heard the warnings, but they walked away, both times, thinking things might calm down. They didn't. They exploded. And now, a man who served 14 years in the Marine Corps, who had survived war zones and brain trauma, was gunned down in his own garage by the woman he once loved. It's a case that shakes your faith in the systems meant to protect families. When emotional abuse becomes a weapon, when accusations become battlegrounds, when children become witnesses, not to love, but to violence, and when a simple Wednesday afternoon becomes a lifetime of grief, a home, a garage, a gun, and a moment of silence that changed everything. What began as an ordinary day in a Florida neighborhood ended in bloodshed, arrest, and the collapse of a family. Bree Kuhn's decision didn't just end Collin Turner's life, it ended life as their children knew it. It's easy to look at stories like this and search for a villain, to paint one partner as the monster and the other as the victim. But reality is often messier than that. There are no easy answers in a relationship scarred by trauma, mental illness, and power struggles. But what we do know is this: when people speak up, listen. When patterns escalate, act. And when the warning signs are there, take them seriously. Because sometimes one ignored red flag is all it takes for tragedy to strike. For Collin, there were no more chances. For Bree, the rest of her life will be spent behind prison walls, replaying a moment she says she doesn't fully understand. And for 3 children, they'll grow up with questions that no verdict can ever fully answer. Sometimes it's not the noise that destroys a home. It's the silence that follows. If this story hit you hard, you're not alone. Every case we cover isn't just about crime. It's about lives interrupted, families torn apart, and the chilling reminder that danger can live behind even the quietest doors. Subscribe to True Crime Diaries for more real-life stories that demand to be heard. Share this video to help others understand the warning signs that so often go ignored. And drop a comment. Do you think justice was truly served in this case? Until next time, stay aware, stay safe, and always look a little deeper. This is True Crime Diaries, where every story has a pulse.